Yo, 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 good people. Welcome to the Herb Man Show.
Yo, 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 good people. It's your homie Herb Man. Hitting you back upside the head with another hot banger boogie. Hey, look, go tell somebody your homie Herb Man is on. And if you're new to the program, welcome. Go ahead and hit that logo right at the bottom of your screen. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you never miss what we're bringing to the world. All right, I told you guys I was going to be coming back for the 2022, man, with a lot more videos, a lot more conscious understanding, a lot more astrology that I'm going to be bringing to my people, a lot more conscious energy I'm going to be bringing to my people, and then we're going to submerge those and intertwine those with the fantastic work of the herbs, man, and we're going to make us and decoct us a really good healing system for our people moving forward. And this is not just going to be for our people, but it's going to be founded by our people, but it's going to be for the world. All right. So now, with all that being said, I wanted to talk to you guys very seriously. I first want to say thank you to all 650 of my subscribers. I encourage you guys to continue to share this information so that we can just get this information out to more people. Again, I don't want to be a YouTube star. I do what I do. I'm the herb man. All right. So all I want to do is be a community advisor, be a pillar of my community. And those are some of the things that I'm doing. And those are some of the things that God has blessed me to be able to do. So I don't necessarily have to always try to be something. I'm actually being it. Okay. And so that's a very important commodity, but I do want to thank you for your support. And I do ask that you get this information out to your friends and to your family. They don't have to push the subscribe button, but they do have to view the video. All right. So now, with that being said, I want to talk about what's going on in the environment. We have a lot of people, especially in the conscious movement, that are feeling detached, right? You know, a lot of times when we come into something new, something different, especially if it's not genetically given to us, or if it's not from our culture or something like that, then we could be ostracized, we could be outcast, and we could feel alone a lot in our positions, okay? Because we don't agree with the masses, or we're not interacting, or we're not participating in some of the systematic belief systems. Okay, we kind of go off skirt, we kind of go off grid with how we think, how we feel about a thing, and that sometimes could leave us by ourselves, feeling alone, not having a lot of people to talk to. Now more than ever, that's going on. Okay, and I'm talking to those people who are feeling like that, people who are coming into this acknowledgement, this awareness, this consciousness, and feel like they have nobody to talk to now, that they have nobody to relate to now. You do. There's a lot of us out here. Okay. Now the thing about it is that as long as people keep us individual, and we're not able to collectively come together, unify together, we're not able to really rub shoulders with like-minded individuals, what happened is then you start going through these outcastings, and you start going through these conscious issues that are happening within your lifetime by yourself. And you know how we've been taught back in the old time in church, you know, one going to affect the other, light going to affect dark, dark going to affect light. So here's my thing is that when you're feeling alone, and when you're out here as an individual, whether you're a single parent or you're just an individual by yourself, and you're not thinking like the masses, and you're not going along with the systematic things, you need to be around like-minded people, because if not, you either gonna go one way or the other. You either gonna be out here by yourself, or you're gonna be pulled to get back and participate back into the systematic way of life. Okay, and that's just the bottom line. That's only the two ways that you have when we're out here by ourselves, trying to live this thing outside the box without the support that's needed. Okay, so what I want to do is talk about 3 different ways that we can build better communities. Okay, because now it's going to be very imperative. Again, let's say you have this single parent out here that doesn't want to take the vax, that doesn't want to inoculate the kids and stuff like that, but they're going to also be hit with financial issues and career issues, because wherever they're working at may now starting to mandate the vaccination. Okay, so what happens to this person if they buck the system? Well, we all know that without no support, if that person bucks the system, how they gonna feed their children? How they gonna pay their bills, right? So now again, we're talking about that out there by yourself, or either suck you back in to participate in the system. Which one do you think gonna happen? If without support, why would that person be out there by themselves? Who's going to support them being out there by themselves? Why would a person choose homelessness with their kids and all that type of stuff? We know that we really love our kids, so we're not going to choose that. We're going to be more vulnerable and more susceptible to being pulled back into the system just based on our responsibilities, based on the love that we have for our people, especially those that we are concerned about, right? Because you want to be able to take care of your people. Now, what support am I talking about? We got to make it easier for people like that to make decisions that they can make without necessarily having to worry about feeding their children. You should be able to make that decision without having to worry about bills and how they're going to be taken care of, how your kids are going to be taken care of. And how we do that is we got to get around like-minded people. Now, like-minded people. So my 3 positions with this build a better community. All right, let's put build better communities, right? Got to build better communities so that if we are off grid, if we are in this consciousness, if we are going to defer from the system that we're currently in, and we need some type of support groups, right? Then we're going to have to build better communities so that we can have these support systems for ourselves. Now, one of the ways that I'm talking about from a relational standpoint is poly relationships, right? This is just from a relational standpoint, right? Within the community, from a relational standpoint, maybe one of our options that we need to start looking at is poly relationships. Now, one of the big thing about poly relationships is they connect resources to one family. Okay, so if you have 2 or 3 or 4 people in the home making money, doing business, working, then you have more income coming into that particular home that can be able to take care of the financial issues. If you have 3 or 4 people, adults in the home working, and they're bringing all that into one household, and maybe they have 2 or 3 different skill sets. Maybe one is an artist, maybe one is a farmer, maybe the other one is a mechanic. All right, then you have a lot of stuff that you can do to take care of yourself within that particular household. All right, because it's self-sustainable. Whether they go out and get money and go to the grocery store, whether they just go in the backyard and get what he growing in the garden, they can do that. Whether they go out and buy, you know, stuff for the automobiles, or whether they just fix cars at home, he has a way to bring income into the family, right? Whether they go out for entertainment, or whether that young lady in there who's that artist in there can make money from her artistic skills. So when we're having a household full of skilled people, then now we have a way to be able to house resources so that if you wanted to get off the grid, you can do that because you got more support within the home. Okay, so poly relationships, this can help us from a relational standpoint within the community. Okay, now number 2 is going to be communal living. Okay, communal living. Now, communal living is a little different from poly, but this is more of the social climate, right? So you think of communal living like, you know, when you go to college and you have to stay in a dorm, or you have to stay in an apartment with 2, 3, 4 other people until you're able to get out of college. That is what we call communal living. Okay, so with this, we can start to adopt families, right? We can start to adopt families. We can be family advocates to one another. We can make it to where each single family or each widowed family will have a covering over either a married couple covering that family, or either a single man covering that family, right? But we want to have it to where you're able to cover each other, and then that we're able to live with each other peaceably, right? And we're able to live with each other in a more communal environment, so that we're sharing the resources, right? We're sharing the resources. So each one of these you're going to be seeing is a shared resources mythology, right? So we're going to share the resources. So with communal living, we could be sharing properties that we have, right? So a lot of black people own a lot of rental properties, all right? So we can start building communities to where we can start allowing people who are in situations to go into these homes, right? And so we'll start to sharing our resources. We're starting to share our real estate. We're starting to combine our incomes, right? And so if you're living in a home with 4 people and it costs $2,000, now you're only having to pay $500 a piece. Instead of that one person looking at, oh, if I don't take the vax, or if I don't have this, or if I'm not in the system, if I want to live off the grid, then I have to figure out who's going to take over this $2,000 note. Well, now you don't have to. It's shared amongst the people that you are living with. So communal living from a social standpoint within this community is one idea that we should be researching to see if that actually can help us build better communities. And then thirdly, this is going to be more for our business understanding, right? So this is going to be more from a financial understanding within the community, right? Again, this is shared resources. Okay, and this is co-ops, right? So then we can start building co-op businesses around, right? The cheapest co-op business is more like food co-ops or credit union. All of these things are very, very inexpensive to create if you have 10, 20 to 100 families combined, putting in anything from $10 to $25 a month, right? And maybe 2 or 3 years, you can have your credit union. Credit union costs between $100,000 to $200,000 to get. Some of our homes are more than that. So we can just literally get the assets. We can literally get the funding from some of the homes that we already own to be able to start these co-ops, right? So these 3 ideas are community-based ideas, okay? These are ideas that make us have to share our resources with each other. They also make us have to be kind of, you know, like a godparent, right? So it also makes us have to be advocates for one another, right? So again, we're talking about covering each other. So when we're dealing with single-family homes, when we're dealing with widow, right? When we're dealing with the death of the parents, these people need to have coverings. By another family. All right? These 3 need to have coverings by another family. So if you are a single female, if you are a single parent, if you are a widowed parent, you need to be covered by another family within the community. Okay, and that just a way of almost having some type of advocacy, right? Somebody that knows what's going on with you. So this is one of the main reasons how they pick us off one by one. So there's a lot of us living in communities right now that don't know our neighbors. So if something happened to us, you wouldn't even know that you can go to your neighbor. You know, you could die in the house without nothing to eat, but your next door neighbors could have a basement full of food. Why she didn't come to ask me? Because y'all never talked the whole 20 years y'all was in the neighborhood. So if you never talked, why would you think that she would think about you in her time of need? We're not thinking about each other in that way. So what we're doing is society understands that keep us individualized like that. And then what happens is they start to pick us off one by one. Okay. So we got to definitely watch out for those types of things, because that is how they have been getting us. And that is how they keep us down. That is how they keeps us submissive to their system. Is because once you start to get out of it, once you start to fight against it, you start to realize you don't have any support. You out here fighting against the machine by yourself. You know, we always used to use this little slogan back in the day, especially that came from Pac when he's talking about me against the world. But what we end up finding out is that you can't win that fight. When it's just solely you against the world, you can't win the fight. 9 times out of 10, that fight is going to be won by the world. So when we're inundated with these decisions and we're thinking about what is my next move, how do I get out of the rut, how do I jump out of the grid, how do I start to live alternatively within the United States of America, how do we do this as Black Americans, how do we build the format for the future, how do we stop talking about it and start being about it, then we got to start talking about building better communities using the 3 ancient techniques that we've been using since the beginning of time, which is how we were even able to subdue the earth in the way that we did. How we was even able to subdue the earth in the way that we did was because of these 3 mechanisms that we have always had precious to us to keep us in a unified front against any invader, whether it be culturally, socially, or any other way, whether it be immune system or whatever the invader is. We always had a unified front. And when you think about health in that way, your whole body fights a virus. It's not just the head, it's not just the feet. When something comes into your body, your whole body fights it off, right? It's a systematic approach to eradicating viruses, bacteria, and fungi out of your body. And so just like now, we have to have a systematic approach when we want to go conscious movement, when we want to be awakening, right? What are some of the things that you have to build better communities? I always think about the first Enlightenment era, right? When we're talking about the old philosophers and, John Locke and all these particular people, these philosophers, the reason why they call them philosophers, because they were writing different consciousness about being here as humans, right? They were redefining why they were here. They were redefining the purpose of why they were here. They were redefining all of the systematic stuff that was going on in that time. They were redefining, hey, these people are not just here to be our slaves. These people are not just here to do this and to do that. We need to come up with a system, a community. We need to come up with an environment that entreats all of us. Now, at that time, that was the most far radical idea ever known. Free the slaves? What are you talking about? This is how this is supposed to go. This is just the law of the land. Living in utopia with these people. What are you talking about? This is how it's made. We subdue and we conquer, and that's just how it is, right? And then the philosophers started to say it's got to be a better way. It's got to be a better way. So the religions start trying to come up with ideologies that keep people in place, that keep people in, to do well with one another. But the philosophers were thinking on a whole nother level. We're thinking on a whole nother oneness, okay? Thinking on a whole nother plateau of how we can achieve this oneness. And guess what came out of that? A little thing called the United States of America. That came out of the first Enlightenment era. That's where you got America from. This brand bold new idea that the French and that they could not achieve in Europe, right? They had to go somewhere else to achieve it. Okay, and through that, wars were fought. The American Revolution, the French Revolution, Civil War, all this stuff was fought over this ideology that we could live in a unified front. Now, we haven't been able to do that in Africa. Okay, and the reason why is because a lot of our ancient ways that we normally do things, as far as being able to share things, have been broken up. But if you look at another race of people who are adopting these types of things, they're coming up on the come up, and that is what? That is the Spanish community within America. The Spanish community within America has started to implement communal living and starting to implement co-ops and things of that nature, to where they're sharing their resources in order to really come in a combined front and be able to have a more weightier investment in the society that they live in. And so when you invest more, you get more out. When you put more in, you get more out. So that's why you're seeing communities, whole communities. You can go down a whole street in America and not know the name of businesses. How is that? It's the same way with the Asian community, because they're coming in with either all three of these or two or three of these. As soon as they come in, you can live with a family member in communal living, right? And then we start putting our finances together in business, okay? So you can go and work at the gas station that we got collectively. You can go work at the Subway that we got collectively. You can go and work at the Chinese restaurant or the Asian restaurants that we got collectively. And then you can go live in our communities that we got collectively. So anybody that come, we already got you somewhere to stay. We already got you somewhere to work. Now it's all about you doing the rest, right? So we need to look at life like that within the black community. And it doesn't matter if you're in the United States of America or if you in the African diaspora or on the African continent. This is where we need to start with, and we need to do it today, not tomorrow, but today, because there are people who need to make decisions and don't have shared resources to make them. They don't have support systems to make them. You know, even when we're talking about in our home ownership, right? We can start making home ownership advocacy programs. Instead of the HOA, turn that around and make the homeowners advocacy program more of a community building system, right? Especially for all black communities, and especially we got to start coming together, my friends. Okay, so if you're out there in the conscious movement and you're feeling alone, you're feeling like you don't have any support about the way that you believe and how you believe and why you believe the things that you do, if you're out there and you're confused and you're perplexed with what you want to do with your family moving forward and how you're going to survive if you don't want to do this but you need to do that, then these are the things that we want you guys to start looking at. Please share the video. Again, I'm going to start building this thing on up, man. We want to start having forums within our communities, and we need to start talking about these three things as options, and we need to start talking about other things that we can do to unify us together and share our resources and become family advocacies of each other, homeowner advocacies of each other, and then be able to basically say, I am my brother's keeper, man. I didn't want to make this video long, but I definitely wanted to make it strong, man. I love you guys. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Go tell somebody your homie Erdman was on. And until next time, love Erdman.
Yo, 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 good people. Welcome to the Erdman Show.